Hey, and welcome. Miss Kira Speaks. Please do your girl a huge favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Stick around to the end of the video, please. And turn on those notifications because you know how I do. The Housewives are back, y'all. That's right. The Real Housewives of Atlanta. It is season 15. Yes, I know. Don't say it. I know you're thinking it, but don't say it because we're here for a recap. Season 15, episode 1. And we didn't get any taglines this episode. They jumped right into the doggone thing, and they're giving us a glimpse of Ross's 40th birthday party where it looks like it's about to go down. Now, you know Kandi is fresh off of recording SWV and Escape Queens of R&B, so Mrs. Burris Tucker is definitely with the shits. Martell will be on the show dating Sheree, and Kenya is there and looks like she is not about to hold her tongue, but at first they're going to take us 4 days earlier. Sheree's home, which is where we're at, is absolutely beautiful. Now, I don't know why Sheree is still on the show, but I guess that's none of my business. Martell, he comes ringing the doorbell or what have you, and even though your girl does not watch Love and Marriage my lips not working today, y'all. Even though your girl does not watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, I know full well about Mr. Martell and his shenanigans. So he comes in, he's got this suit on, and he does look sharp. I'll give him that because he's fresh off of a magazine shoot with Upscale Magazine. So while Martell is getting changed, Sheree is telling us how she met Martell. Child, and she's currently enjoying his company, and despite what we have seen on TV, he hasn't shown her any disrespect. That's how they start, boo. They don't start with the disrespect. You don't lead with the disrespect. You gotta kind of ease into it. But anyway, and so the producers, they're doing their job as per usual because they were on it last season. They give us a flashback to last season and Miss Sheree getting played by Tyrone. And I said, I need Sheree to get with it, to do better. Although the whole Martell thing is giving storyline. So he comes back in and these two are about to start talking now. She's got a chef to cook and he thought that the chef was there for a threesome, and that just goes to show you. So they start talking about Ross's birthday party and he wants to know who all's going to be there. So, you know, as per what happened last season, Sheree has to bring up Kandi, and here comes Martell with the bullshit. He calls Kandi's husband, Mr. Todd, the opportunist. And I said, sir, bite your tongue because you might not never. And let's not talk about the Todd Tucker like that, okay? Because later on in the episode, Kandi was telling us about several movie projects that Todd had in the works that he wanted Kandi to produce on. So, okay, sir. So Sheree says that she thinks that, you know, Kandi and Todd will be respectful, and they will. Kandi and Todd do not come with the shits and shenanigans typically unless you bring it to them at Sonya's party. And then, you know, Martell, he still got jokes talking about how short they are, like, you know, he's Shaquille O'Neal or something. Speaking of Miss Kandi, we are checking in on Kandi, and she's with her people. We got Don Juan and Karma, as Mama Joyce likes to call her, and they start talking about the disappointment of Sheree's line. You know, she buy, she don't pay. Kandi says she tried to help her, but Miss Thing, she wasn't prepared. You know, she doesn't have the business acumen that Kandi has. She don't want to pay people. You know, we know, we've been through seasons of this already. So Kandi Coded Nights is on its way back, and Kandi tells us, because I guess this, you know, this has been the storyline last season, and I guess it's what we're going to deal with this season. They show us a clip of Ace, you know, complaining, or not complaining. He was crying. He wanted his mom, and he wants more time. He wants more time. He's asking her for help with homework, I think it was, and, you know, Kandi's like, Aunt so-and-so can't help you, but child, a working mama. Now, I done had some of these same conversations with my kids, and Lord knows I am here every single night to do homework with that 7-year-old. But they're going to lay that guilt trip on you, so you got to, you know, make time for the kids, and I'm sure Kandi will. We're going to talk about it later on in the episode, but like I said, they just give us a little quick, you know, clip of not Blaze, Ace. Child, like I said, kids will do it to you, and I'm nowhere near Candy status. So in comes Miss Kenya, and I hope that I will still like her this season. And Monietta, you know I love me some Monietta. Candy is a little upset with Monietta for having a conversation with Marlo. You know, she was trying to get to the bottom of the whole thing with Candy and Marlo and the whole thing about kicking the boys out. But at the end of the day, Monietta just wanted to be like, she just wanted to hear both sides of the stories. You know, Candy don't play all of that with her friends. And I am not looking forward to seeing Miss Marlo this season. I can tell you that much. So Candy missed Heath, who is Monietta's husband's birthday party, and we find out that Monietta is a matchmaker. She done hooked Miss Kenya up with somebody named Roy. He's a nice, you know, non-melanated fella. And Kenya says, you know, she's feeling the things. He's making her, and, you know, we love to see Kenya happy. But we also find out that she's been separated since 2019. And I shouldn't say find out because we knew that. But I'm like, Mark, please give this woman a divorce. Please. So I think Kenya started talking about the reunion and being disappointed in Candy and Sheree, and I don't know why. And then we get into Candy's spoofs, which were too hilarious. They show us a couple of the spoofs, and later on, Sheree gonna have her panties in a bunch about that. And they're just catching up, you know, and talking about Ross's birthday party. So they say the streets have been talking and that Martell has been kicking it with some girl in Atlanta. And it's so funny because Candy's talking to Monietta and she's like, the streets was talking to you. The streets be talking. The streets be talking. I said, Candy is a whole fool. And Kenya adds, he lightweight tried to slide in her DMs. And I believe it. Kenya is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And Martell, he is for them streets. Candy, she wants to see the DMs, so then when Kenya goes to pull him up, he done deleted the DMs. Tricky, but you can see, like, when you pull it up, it says accept or deny. You know, that good old general pop, like, you're not one of my friends, so I gotta accept your message. You over here in this area right here. So she never accepted it, so it's clear she never sent him a message. You can see when they unsend it, because you know they got that tricky little feature now, so that's where we're at with that. And Kenya says she don't want nothing to do with Martell. She don't want to look at him, talk at him, be in his direction, because anytime he gets somebody pregnant. But Sheree don't got to worry about that because Sheree don't get periods no more. And I say, come on, Kenya, with the shade. So then Kenya talks about overhearing Candy and Todd arguing when she calls. And then we find out that, like I said, Todd's got a couple of things in the works and he wants Candy's help. But he wants it on his own terms. He feels like he's always there to help her, but she's not always there to help him. And then, like, one particular situation, he wanted Candy to do something. She asked him to move some things around. He wouldn't do it for her, but then he did it for somebody else. And Candy's like, you know, I just don't want him to make me the problem. And she starts to, you know, when Candy's voice starts to crack it, and I said, oh, Candy. She's just got a lot going on. You know how Miss Candy do. She don't miss a bag. And the ladies, you know, they're trying to support her and be there for her because they don't want to see her get a divorce. And Kenya's like, listen, as your sis, I'm just going to tell you, you know, make time for your husband. And with that, I agree. So we see Miss Sonia's house and it is looking good and it is still full of people. I said, yikes. The family's all together and they're discussing the party because they lost the last venue at the last minute, but they secured another one. And the theme is Harlem Nights. We love to see it. And Sonia says she is feeling the pressure. She wants to let the girls know how she really gets down because after the, you know, the dry beef patties and all that situation. So there's a little tension because the whole darn family works for Sonia, which we already knew that from last season. But her brother-in-law is her assistant. And so Sonia's sister is getting upset saying that Sonia lacks boundaries because she's basically having this conversation with him. And it's a business conversation and it's supposed to be having dinner. And she does the same thing with the kids. And it's a lot. Sonia says, you know, she basically employs her whole family and then she pays them. And it's, you know, it's kind of a crazy situation that she's in. And I don't know if I can do it, but more power to her. Sis is basically saying that now that Sonia no longer runs track, that she's no longer priority. And I say, it's time for y'all to move. I get why they all moved into the one house. And, you know, mom and dad can stay, help a little Deuce. But the sister, her husband, them two kids, they need to go. So a little bit later, we see Sonia. She's going over to Sheree's house, you know, get her workout on down in that basement. I love Sheree's basement. That's one thing about, well, two things about Sheree we're going to get into. The first one is that house is beautiful. And the second one we're going to get into is Sheree got a doggone outfit on. It's $272 and it is a two-piece from She by Sheree. And I said, yeah, no. But that's the second thing that Sheree's got going for her, is that body yaddy yaddy, baby. So they start talking about Sonya and what, the argument between her and her sister. And before they can get into it good, in comes, the doorbell rings, and it's some girl named Courtney. She's new to the show. I guess she's going to be the new friend of the show. Not really feeling her. I think she's a marketing executive, and she also does jewelry, something like that. If I'm wrong, you can get down in the comments and feel free to correct me. So now we start talking about Ross's party again, and who all's going to be there and who RSVP'd. And she invited Drew. And I said, please, let's not bring the Drew drama into another season. But she said that Ralph had actually RSVP'd for, I guess, both of them. And then, we got to take the conversation back to the Candy hate train. And I'm saying, who is this Courtney girl asking about? She was saying, let me get it together because it was a lot to understand. She's saying that Candy asked about her. And I know Candy on Speak On is like, we look into all the new people that are coming onto the show. So it really shouldn't be as big of a deal as it is. Sonya's like, she cool. She don't got no problems with Candy. And Sheree always got to have that sounds just like Candy. I say, it's the wrong road, Sheree. It's the wrong road. But she's basically saying, Candy only keeps her mouth closed when she got food in or something else. We ain't going to say what that is. So we get a quick scene a little bit later. I'm actually going out of order, but we're at Candy's house. And Candy's trying to have family time. And, she's getting food. It's like, whatever. And Todd is over there at the table. He's conducting business. And I said, my, how the tables are turned. Candy is getting annoyed. She's trying to get him to get off the phone. And first he's like, all right, let me go. And then he's like, okay, wait, go over the next line again. And I said, Candy was getting upset. But like I said, how the tables are turned. And, she either going to have to eat it or just make so much noise that he got to get off the phone or at least go into the other room. And another thing, what was going on with this big old afro in the confessional now? You can see I'm a natural hair girl myself. But this big afro wig, it was giving me costumey. It wasn't like, just a regular fashionable thing. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. So the boys are back with Marlo and they're cooking, and it's like a Taco Tuesday, super cute. Again, I am not thrilled to see Marlo this season. And she talks about how she hasn't heard from her sister in a while. And Marlo's got a life coach. Name is Miss Sharon. And I said, excuse me, I'm trying not to burp. Marlo needs a therapist, but okay, life coach. And they start to discuss what Marlo did, putting the boys out, and, they're talking through it. And she's saying that she was stressed out and the boys sound like they were stressed out. So they're supposed to be working on a mission statement as a family. And I'm just sitting here trying not to skip over all scenes that are Marlo. One of the things that they do bring up is gentle parenting. And I said, somebody pray for me, because being in my 40s and being parented the way I was parented, which Lord help me. The gentle parenting is like an everyday struggle. You got to pinch yourself, kick yourself. You got to fall down, get up, fall down, get up. Or just work with me, children. Work with me. He ain't finished with me yet. Struggle is real, baby. So, Marlo is getting ready for Ross's party later. We see her. I think she's with Rico Chappelle. And somehow, Candy is always in these people's mouth. And I said, this is why I don't fool her, what she did with the boys. And then, because I don't know, like, if you want to have a problem with Candy, I don't know. They just be making up stuff. But she was saying something about, she saw the spoofs, because the spoofs are going to come up this whole freaking episode, and I hope not the whole season. And Marlo says that the spoofs are funny, but she needs to stick to the spoofs because Broadway ain't working for her. And I said, well, that didn't age well, because the same week this came out, earlier on in the week, we see that Candy got nominated for a Tony and an Emmy. Her and, I don't remember which one is her and Todd, and one I think is just her. So, there you go, Miss Marlo. So I think it's party time. We see Miss Sharon and Sonya go look at the venue. And she tells us she had a $40,000 budget because it was his 40th birthday. But once she, added on all the extras, we are at $100,000. And I said, yikes, I guess. I mean, you got it. That's on you. They got to show us everybody getting ready, and then everyone's coming through, and everybody looked really good to me. I think everybody looked good, but you can get down in the comments and let me know who you think was, best dressed. Kenya is always serving. Everybody did good. We're just going to leave it at that for now. Kenya says her expectations were low, and lo and behold, Ralph shows up with no Drew. In fact, we didn't see Drew at all this first episode, and he says she's sick, and he's like, it's a family emergency. And I'm like, first of all, which is it? Or I guess it could be both. And I'm like, so sir, why are you not at home? Are you not part of the family? And I hope we get a little glimpse into this whole divorce thing that these two are going through, and it's not just a storyline, because she does really need to let Ralph go. Because he says he's there to, show support or what, something for his boy. Ralph, you should have had your behind at home. Candy says it's not a Candy Burris level party, but it's cute. Candy, so Marlo's there. She says she plans to stay quiet and do a little gambling, win her some money. Ross and Sonia, they finally come in and arrive. And then Sonia, she comes up to the front and she speaks her speech, telling her husband how much she loves him and all that good stuff. And then, Sonia, she goes to talk to the ladies, and Ross, he goes to talk to the fellas. So when Martell and Sheree come in, the ladies are talking cash shit to each other in their confessionals, as they should. Kenya says something about she needs a show about, her dating these dumb dudes. Sonia was like, well, it's a come up because, he ain't in jail. Candy says something about, going from community service to community property. They was having a ball at Miss Sheree's expense. But meanwhile, Sheree's throwing shade at Kenya, asking something about, because I don't know, it's something to do with Martell. And she's like, why is she worried about me? She needs to be worried about Mark. And she's going to get more manner in the divorce. And maybe he could put some head. And I said, what problems you got with Kenya now? Like, Sheree, you just, ooh, she irks my nerves. But it's not an RHOA party without the drama. So Marlo is talking to Marlo's talking to Courtney about the whole Candy situation. And the whole thing seems messy to me. And Marlo's like, she's excited that it don't got nothing to do with her. I was like, oh, okay. But she said she's still going to sip on that tea. So Candy's talking about, we're bringing up the whole thing about him seeing somebody else in Atlanta. And Kenya's like, if it's about the D, then let it be about the D. And Candy's like, well, what if it's not? So, they got to get with Sheree and have a little conversation. So Kenya pulls her over and she's having a conversation with Sheree, and then somehow Candy ends up being with Sonia and Courtney for a conversation that we don't want to have. So they're having the conversations simultaneously. Obviously, I can't do that, so we'll go with Miss Candy first. So Courtney brings up Dino, who is a friend of Candy, who's in the music industry, and she says that Candy has said that Courtney has said that she was friends with Candy. And that's exactly how confusing and stupid the whole thing sounded. So it's like they're having a casual conversation, but Courtney, and Candy peeped it. Candy is like, yeah, the energy, I don't know what this energy is all about. Candy's trying to keep her cool because this energy is like, wow. And Candy's trying to tell her, like, you need to step back. So then Sonia, she steps in and she kind of is agreeing with her on the energy. She's like, but I know you felt some type of way the other day. And Candy's looking like, so Courtney's apologizing and she says, her feelings were hurt and this whole thing. And all of a sudden she's like, but I don't have to clout chase. And Candy's like, there you go with that head again. So Marlo, she's like peeking behind her, trying to see what's going on. And Candy tells her to stop bouncing at her. Because, she was like, kind of with the head. I was like, Lord Jesus. And Miss Thing going to say, well, then you need to calm the F down now. In the history of language, telling somebody to calm down has never made anybody calm down. In fact, you're going to get quite the opposite. And then plus you want to throw the F word in there. Candy was ready to go. Sonia had to, kind of get in the way of these two. And that's when you heard Candy say, I'm about to headbutt this bitch. Y'all know how Candy give it up. I don't know how you play with her. So meanwhile, Kenya and Sheree, talk about how nice the party is. And then Monyetta's kind of like talking to Sheree to the side, how she's concerned with what happened with Tyrone. And Sheree, she says, she's just living her life. And she's like, oh, okay. She's asking her like if it was serious because she heard some things. So she brings up what her and Candy heard about him dating or kicking it with or chilling or whatever the verbiage was with some girl in Atlanta. And Sheree's like, oh, is she here? Because, he's been here for 4 days. He's been with me. So then I don't know what she thinks that means. And in her confessional, she's like, because I'm a Ferrari. So if he's messing with somebody else, then she's a Toyota. And I was like, Sheree, grow up. You sound real childish. So Kenya's like, well, there is something else. He slid into my DMs and, I wanted to be honest as a friend. Now, I think so get your words together, girl. Sheree asked to see the DMs. And now we know there's nothing to show because he deleted, he unsent them. And I think the only reason Kenya even said anything, in my opinion, I could be wrong, let me know if you agree, it's because she mentioned it on camera, so she knew Sheree was going to see it. So I guess she was like, let me just go ahead and get it out the way before you hear from somebody else. So Sheree's like, you know what? He's here. So she calls him over and Kenya's like, listen, I'm not trying to be rolling around in the ground with She-Man because I look too good in this dress. And that is where we end and we get a to be continued. It looks like they about to heat up next episode and Martell is about to show the whole world the bigger piece of he is, okay? How did you guys feel about the episode? Get down in the comments and let me know. It looks like we're in for a good season and I'm going to try my best to keep up. So join me back here for episode 2. See you then. Peace.